Hey, I'm Jones Loflin, helping you make the best choices with your time so you can thrive. Motivating your team members. It's a common topic in leadership and a big challenge in today's workplace. When I'm asked about how to motivate your team members, I say up front, there's all kinds of ways to do it. In fact, it's kind of like this eastern red cedar seedling. See all those roots that are at the bottom? There's lots of roots that can help this plant to grow and thrive. In the same way, I think there's lots of sources, or roots, if you will, that can help motivate your team members to deliver their best work. You got to pick and choose the ones that will have the greatest impact on that team member. If you're trying to improve the motivation of your team members, here are 3 primary roots I suggest you assess to improve that team member's performance. The first root is the internal one. How well do you know what that person values? What's important to them? Are you having the kind of conversations where you know what their professional and personal goals are and you can tap into that as you seek to motivate them? Check out the internal root of that individual to see what might need to change. The second root of motivation that I think is important is environment. I mean, think about this eastern red cedar seedling for a moment. It's going to grow very differently if I go put it out in the middle of a field versus if I plant it in the middle of the woods where there's a lot of other trees overshadowing it or protecting it. What's the environment that your team member's currently in? Has something changed that might be reducing their motivation to deliver their best work? I recently had a situation where there was a rock star team member who had lost their motivation. And in coaching them, I came to find out that the reason they had lost their motivation was not that they didn't want to deliver great work. It was simply because a team member who had been with them for about 8 years was leaving. They were losing that relationship. The environment was changing, and now they weren't so motivated to do great work. What's changing or has changed about the environment for that team member that might have caused them to lose some motivation? The third root that I think you have to focus on is leadership, management. What are you doing to encourage that person to be motivated to deliver their best work? I might, say to this eastern red seedling, oh, you're doing great work, you're doing a great job. But if I'm not watering this plant, if I haven't put it in a place where it can thrive, it's going to suffer. So here's my challenge or my opportunity for you this week. I want you to think about that team member who lacks the motivation that you'd like for them to have. First of all, evaluate them internally. Do you know what they value? Have you had those conversations with them to help you to know what motivates them? The second thing to look at is what's changed about the environment, or what is changing that might be causing them to lose their motivation. And finally, take a little time to assess your own leadership or management style. Are you in sync with that person and understand how best to motivate them, or are you just treating them like every other plant in the world? This is Jones Loflin. I hope it's a fantastic week for you where you invest the time to understand how to help every member of your team be motivated to deliver their best work. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me today in the Jones Zone.